tutorial starts with a song, but it's only a few seconds long. Let's get started with animation. Hi folks, in this tutorial I wanted to show you something about skeletons, but I won't. Instead, we talk about lighting a character with a single light. Actually, we tried 3 lights, and the results are quite different. And I also want to show you the music, how important it is, and how easy it can be composed. Enjoy. When you start with character animation, you probably struggle with what kind of rig you want to use. This is absolutely a wonderful starting point here, actually, and for advanced people even more, the Zelda Breath of the Wild rigged model. I downloaded it recently because I'm quite familiar with Christoph Schoch. I think he lives in California, and he's a very talented animator and rigger. Rigging means basically to build a skeleton into a character. And I used one of his setups here for a previous tutorial, which was about how to move a character around a bend. That was quite interesting for me, but today I downloaded this one and the Zelda, and I'm gonna try to give her several kinds of lights. A point light, an area light, and a sky dome light, just to demonstrate how drastic the effects of those single lights, only one light in the scene, are. They dramatically change the whole feeling of that scene. And it's always nice to play around with such a model. You need to find out what is what. For example, these sliders here are controlling most things in the face, but I don't know what this one is for. I just have to try it out. It has a rotation element. I don't know what it's good for, and it has you can translate it. I don't know. Anyway, I gave her I set my timer to 10 minutes, and I tried to find out what is what. This, for example, for the hand, for the left hand, and I animated her, and this is a very crude animation, but I tried to stick to the notion that whenever somebody moves, for example the hand, the whole body moves with it. So I animated quite a few parts of this skeleton, but we proceed to rendering soon. I just wanted to tell you that I did a brief animation, and it's certainly not perfect. She stands on her 2 feet and rotates them all the time. I made the head rotate and look up and down, and I did some blinking to the character, and the rest is pretty trivial. So this is the animation I did. 10 minutes, not more. I think when I try it again in 10 minutes I could do a much better animation, because I now know a few of the controls. I'll hide this sky dome light here because we want to end with that, but the area light is quite interesting. When you set it to the top, it has a different effect from when you set it to the front, of course. Keep in mind that it's a single light only, and we can render it in the viewport. And as you see, she's much too bright. So we reduce the exposure, like so. And we have her like in a museum, I would say. This is a typical front lighting system here. Now, when you move the light up and rotate it, this has quite a dramatic effect, really. By the way, I find that when the light comes from the back, more or less, like here, more grain is produced in the dark areas, so you need to crank up the anti-aliasing. The anti-aliasing is here. You go to the render settings, and under the Arnold tab, you can set the camera AA, the anti-aliasing, to a higher value like 7 or 9 or whatever. The default is 3, so I already pumped it up quite a bit. And by the way, under system, if you have a graphics card which supports this, it's called, graphics cards are called GPUs, graphic processing units, and you switch from the CPU to the GPU, and currently this is a GPU rendering. That's why it's quite fast. Now let's position the light to the back. And depending on where your camera sits, this creates a totally different look again. And yet another way to light our character is by lighting it from a lower down position, like this. Just keep in mind this is only a single light and it has such a dramatic effect. This could be good for a horror movie now, or an action movie where the scene is more dramatized. Now let's hide this light and I introduce under Create Lights, a point light. The point light usually has a much too low intensity, so you maybe think it doesn't work at all. I move it a little bit back and up because I know my character is somewhere there. And here you have an Arnold section in the point light shape attributes. You have the Arnold section, and here you can raise the exposure quite a bit, and then she appears from the dark. Now you can set, since this is not an area light but a point light, you can set the focus to a very special area, for example what she does with her hand, whatever. So this is a very nice point light animation. Not an animation, a lighting. The animation would go, for example, you could, by the way, you could animate it like this. Really nice. What you could do is you go to the NURBS modeling and create a circle. The circle lands down here in the scene, and you can scale it up like this, move it up, and tilt it just a little bit, and then select the point light and the NURBS circle with the Control key, go to Animation, and to Constrain, Motion Paths, and Attach to Motion Path. I'll briefly meditate on this whole menu procedure here. You need to select the light first and then the path. So light and path, then you create a circle, you scale the circle appropriately, you can modify this later of course, and then you go to animation. You need to be in the animation module because the animation module shows you the constrain menu, and now from motion path you attach it to a motion path. Now the light sits on the motion path and follows that motion path. And now I think the intensity is not high enough, so we increase this. So this is an animated point light which circles around Zelda. It's so interesting just to see the details, like her rotating shadow on the floor. The floor, by the way, is a NURBS surface. Very simple, just one click. The most obvious way to light her, and I delete the point light now, is using a sky dome light. And the sky dome light is under Arnold, Lights, and Physical Sky. It's called Physical Sky. It's similar to the sky dome light, but we try the Physical Sky here now, and this is a very nice look of a natural daylight scene. And here in the daylight scene, when you select this, you can go to the AI physical sky node and change the elevation and the azimuth. And in order to see this properly, I select it here. That means I select the shader and not the sky dome as such. And now I can lower the elevation. And you see how we get close to the evening and the rotation of the sun. And then I thought, I cannot leave you with just this animation. I need to make a sound. And here is the sound effect which I composed in Steinberg Cubase. And I just loaded the brief video, that 8-second clip, into a video track. And then I added musical instruments which I played on the keyboard. The whole process was maybe half an hour. In most cases of computer animation, you would get the sound first and then you have to animate according to that sound. I did a tutorial about character stepping forward, and we needed to synchronize the stepping sounds. This was the same procedure as here. We had the video first and then the audio had to be added. But in most cases, as far as I know from Pixar, for example, you have the animation following the sound. So first of all, you have the sound recording, somebody speaks, and then you have to do the lip sync accordingly. Well, I hope you have a nice day and bye-bye.